various tools available. Okay, one of them is a advanced design system from Keysight, right? And then there are other tools like from Mentor. There is something called Tenor tool, right? And then there is Cadence Virtuoso. Okay, so that is also used for circuit design. Now all these tools have something which is called a specialization. For example, you can use these tools for all kinds of IC designs, right? But then there is a specialization. For example, if you were to do CMOS designs, right, silicon designs, CMOS designs, then you would most probably use Cadence, right? Now if you want to do something like gallium arsenide designs, right, then mostly people use ADS or AWR or let's say Tenor, right? So it's not that these tools cannot be used for CMOS or Cadence cannot be used for gallium arsenide. It's just that the tools are specialized for a certain IC development. So what we are going to do is we are going to start with ADS. The ADS is can be launched from your start menu, and they call it pathwave. So we will describe what is pathwave later on. Okay. So this basically is the main window, and this is getting started window. Most of the time when you close a project, you will come back to this window, right? Okay. So let me just check whether everything is okay. Okay, so it's going on. So from this window, you can open a project. So let's open a workspace. Okay, and let's give so you can open a workspace. So if you have already done any workspace, you can open. Usually to identify a ADS workspace, you will have a name followed by underscore WRK. So most of your workspaces are stored with underscore WRK. So that's how you will distinguish your ADS workspace from other workspace. Workspace means it's just a folder which keeps every file inside, right? So that's there. Next thing which you can do from this getting started window, you can make a new workspace. So when you do a new workspace, it comes up with a dialog box, and you can name a project. So let's say I'm going to here learn ADS setup. So I'm going to learn some basics of ADS, right? And over here you will say that there are two options here. Okay, so what is happening is that there are libraries for various processes, and these libraries are specific to a tool, right? So for example, Cadence, you will have a library which will be called a process design kit or a PDK. So if PDK is for Cadence, then you use it in Cadence. If PDK is for ADS, then you use in ADS. But then there are some PDKs which are common. Okay, so they are also called interoperable PDKs. Okay, and so you can basically say the ADS, okay, uh, window system. Do you want to use for technology which is just ADS, or it is compatible with other tools also? So it's just that the pins are going to look different. The text is going to be smaller or bigger, right? And the symbols are going to look different. So it's just that the GUI looks slightly different, but more or less it's the same, right? So when you say setup, when you check this, okay, setup layout technology immediately after creating, so what it is doing is it is basically specifying the layout resolution. Okay, so for example, most of the ICs are done in microns, right? And everything is done on a grid. Okay, because it's a photolithographic process, so the masks are usually made using a grid is just the whole space is divided into small checks, and each check has got a certain size. So for example, if you read a PDK manual, it will say that the grid size should not be less than 0.001 micron, which means that you have to stick to that, right? So if you so that is the setting which you do from here at the time of project itself. So if you forget this, okay, then you would have to set it when you do layouts, and it will become messy. So the good idea is to just check it right at the start itself. Then change libraries. Okay, it allows you to attach a PDK. For example, here this one, these are the PDKs which I have previously used, right? So let's say one of the PDK is GPDK 180. Okay, so G stands for general, and PDK process design kit. 180 means it's a 180 nanometer, while this PDK allows you to do even one size smaller. It is 130 nanometer. So what do you mean by this 130, 180? This is the minimum gate length. Okay, so a technology goes by the minimum gate length, right? So if the minimum gate length allowed is 180 nanometers, then it will be called 180 nanometer process. If it is 130, it will be called 130 nanometer process. So for example, the Malaysian process called Silterra, it's a 130 nanometer process. Now I also have a PDK which is a 7 nanometer process. So basically you can do designs in 7 nanometer. If your PDK doesn't show up here, okay, then you can click this and you can browse to wherever your PDK folder is, right? And once you, for example, let's say we go back to, do I see here Win? Okay, this is in C drive, it will be under users. Okay, so under users, under Anurag, that's my folder name. It will be in your machine by your name. And if I look for Silterra, or let's say GPDK here, right? Okay, so this is GPDK, right? Or let's say Silterra. Okay, so this is a folder where you keep all your PDKs. It's user and your name, your computer's name maybe. So let me know PQR is Silterra. So this is Silterra. Okay, so if you ever to click this, there's a library definition file. If you click that and say open, then that name would show up in this list. Okay, so there are two ways of adding PDK. If you have previously used, you have to just check it. If not, then you will have to use add user favorite library of PDK. So in my case, I'll just leave it here. Then there are two PDKs which are basically come as demo. Okay, one is the analog RF and other is the DSP. Okay, so if you want to do a DSP, then you have to check this one. If you don't do DSP, you can uncheck it. Then there are something called gallium arsenide demo kit is also there. You can check this one, right? If you want to use some gallium arsenide components. Now, in our case, we are doing third-party PDKs. So, for example, if I was click this, then it will be Win. Now, can you click two of them? Yes, you can, because ADS allows you to do multiple PDKs. Okay, so I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to say create workspace. Okay, so first thing it should ask, and I don't know why it's so slow. It would ask is what should be the resolution. Okay, so it will pop up what is the default resolution for PDK. I would prefer to go with what it has recommended because it is for the process, and I would say finish. Now one option here is copy technology file, so which means that these PDK files are locked. You cannot change them. All you can do is you can refer to them. If you want to make changes, for example, if you want to make changes to the metal stack up for some reason, then you can check this. Then a copy of the entire PDK would be editable into your project, but the main copy will still remain intact. So you are copying the technology file, you are not referring to the technology file. So if you leave it unchecked, it will just refer to the technology file, and when you say finish, it will create a workspace. Now what's the various views of a workspace? So basically this is your folder. So it is the name of the workspace, learn ADS setup, right? And then there are other views like file view, library view. So for example, if there are more than one libraries referenced, then you can see that all the designs are going to carry an extension, what library they belong to. Okay, so right now it is going to go to a library which is learn ADS setup underscore work. Now at the top you can see that there are three buttons here, right? So one is called create schematic, other is create layout, create a symbol for a schematic, and then a data display window, right? So these four buttons are mostly used, right? Other way to make a design is by right click on the name of this. Now I usually organize my designs in folders. So for example, if I say folder, and if I say I would do matching exercises, so I will make a folder here, matching EX. So I'm doing matching exercises, so it creates a folder. Now if I want to create a schematic inside, I'll click this one, not this one. If I click this one, then it will go into the root folder. If I go and click this one, then I can make a schematic here. Okay, so what do you mean by schematic? Okay, schematic is a view. So for example, every design would be called a cell. Okay, so let's say I want to call this as low pass filter. Okay, so low pass filter, that's the name of the cell I have given. And if I say create schematic, so schematic will open, and there are components on the left hand side. There is a menu bar at the top, right? So before that, let's see what has happened here. It has created a schematic under this folder. So if I was to do a new folder, okay, so I can do a new folder here, and I would call this as uh, high pass filter, right? So that's oh sorry, let's give it another name. Let's say couplers. So it will make another folder called couplers, and then I can go here and make a new schematic, and I will call that schematic as, let's say, hybrid 90. Okay, so it will create another schematic. Okay, so this schematic hybrid 90 is under couplers. This schematic is under, so basically you can organize your workspace to in different folders. Okay, so that makes things easier. Now let's look at schematic. Schematic is just one view. So in this case, the schematic is one of the views of LP filter, low pass filter. Now can I make a layout for the same cell? Yes, I can say new. So if you have to click on the design name, okay, so or the cell name, and say new layout. Okay, create a layout. Okay, so the layout window is going to be dark like this, and schematic is going to be white like that. So now you see one cell has got schematic and layout. So basically these are two different views of the same circuit, right? Similarly, I can make a new symbol for this, new symbol. Okay, so create symbol. Right now there are no pins to it, so basically there are no ports. It's saying that there are no ports. Okay, so now you can see that a schematic has got three views: layout, schematic, symbol. Now can I have more than one schematic in one cell? Yes. So for example, I can say file new, and I can say here new schematic. So it's going to come up and give a warning. Okay, at least it says, okay, it says that you are making two schematics for same cell. Okay, so it doesn't matter, it will be called schematic 1. So now I have got two schematics for the same cell, right? So it is allowed, just that when you do simulation you should know which schematic you are going to simulate, right? Or basically you have to tell this symbol belongs to for this symbol which schematic you are going to use. Okay, so for now I'm going to close all this. I'm going to work with only one schematic, so I'm going to delete one of the schematics, and I'm also going to delete the symbol. Okay, so I'm going to work with the schematic. Okay, so here all the parts are organized in categories. These are known as palettes. So all the parts, all the components are buttons here which you can drag and drop. So for this GPDK, these are the various components available, right? Similarly, if you take lump components, okay, so the resistors, inductors, capacitors. So let's pick up a inductor, for example. So that will be IND. So that will be this inductor. So this, as soon as you click on that button, it will open a dialog box. You want to put an inductor value. You want to put some loss, let's say 1 milliwatt, 1 millivolt, 1 milliohm, right? Or you can put here 1 milli like that. Okay, so one more thing you have to be cautious. If I put a milli here and a milli here, that becomes a micro. Okay, so be careful that what you're going to do. Okay, so this is a milliohm. Okay, so I'll say okay, and once you take one button, then you can basically repeat as many times. You don't have to click anything. Okay? So once you have done this, okay, that's the inductor. Then the next one, right, is right there. If you click, it will put another inductor. If I do escape, that will be the end of the command. Now this must be looking something different, right? This is because ADS GUI can be configured. So if you go to main window and you go to options and you go to technology preferences. So when you go to preferences, you will come to interoperability. So right now the ADS is set to interoperable mode. So its symbols are going to look like cadence symbols. If you go to legacy mode, okay, this will look like ADS. Okay, if you go to interoperable mode, this will be more like cadence kind of stuff. If you do a combined, then it can be more like both, right? ADS, this. So this is just a GUI change. Okay, so don't worry about this for now. Okay, it is in interoperable mode. It's fine. When you do it, by default it will come with the legacy mode. So the symbols are going to, the text is going to look bigger. So don't get confused what it looks on the screen, right? Just check what is the mode. So it is, the mode is accessible from options preferences, and then you go to interoperability. So if you are going to use a kit which is interoperable, for example I'm going to use GPDK, so that's why I have put this in interoperable mode. If you are going to use kit which is just for ADS, you will put it in legacy mode. You understand? So how it works is, you can set it from options preferences under interoperability. If you are going to use a IPDK, GPDK, put it in interoperable mode. Otherwise, if it's ADS only, put it in legacy mode. Okay, so that's about that. That's why the text looks much smaller. So don't worry about this. Next is, let's say if I put a capacitor, okay, let's say 1 picofarad, and say okay. Now I'm ready to place it. If I was to press, if I was to press, let's do this new. Okay, if I was to press Shift R, no, Control R. If I was to press Control R, I could rotate it, right? If I was to also use this button, I could rotate it before placing it, right? So I'm going to just place one here, second one here, and escape. And then I would need a ground. So there is a ground pin here. So I need not put two grounds, I can put one ground. So this ground also looks different in legacy mode, right? In your interoperable mode, it looks more like cadence. Okay, so I have connected this network which looks like a low pass network, right? Now I am going to, there are different components. So this is lump components. Similarly, you can have distributed components. So for example, transmission line microstrip. So these are all distributed components. So we will come to know what is distributed component later on. So there are different palettes, right? So for example, devices MOS. Okay, so sorry, devices MOS. Devices MOS. Okay, so these are all MOSFETs and their models. Okay, then similarly there is something called system passive. So if you go to systems, signal integrity system. Okay, system modulator and demodulation system, PLL component, system passive, system switches, system amplifiers, mixers, system data models. So these are all behavioral level models. Then you have band pass filter, low pass filter, high pass filter. So you can use those. Then you can have devices as BJT, diodes, gas, gallium arsenide devices, junction FETs, MOSFETs, devices MOS. You can also have bond wire models here, right? Transmission line models, you can have microstrip models or strip line models or fin line models or waveguides. So your waveguides like rectangular or cylindrical waveguides, they are available here, right? So you can use that. Now this section, what you see is simulation. So you can do DC simulation, AC simulation, S parameter, HB. HB stands for harmonic balance. Okay, LSP, XDB, we will see all this later. Envelope, transient. Okay, there's a load pull which is done for amplifiers. Okay, so there are different simulators available here, right? Out of which most important of them are DC, AC, S parameter, harmonic balance, and envelope and transient, right? So we will come to these simulators later on in the next section. Meanwhile, we are going to do S parameter simulation here. We will come to S parameter in subsequent sections. What is S parameter and when it is done. So we are going to put two terminations here. Okay, term 1, and most of your this thing is done using S parameter simulation. Most of your passives, right? Some active devices like small signal like LNA and all that, they are also done in this. Okay, so what do you mean by small signal? It has a different meaning for BJTs and it has a different meaning for FETs. For BJTs, it means that if something is less than 25 millivolts, or we say KT over Q ln of, okay, so is KT over Q ln of what? KT over Q is BT. Okay, so basically, if you are sitting below 25 millivolts, so it's Boltzmann constant K, T is the temperature in Kelvin, over Q is a charge on electron. That comes out to be 25 millivolts at room temperature, right? So if your signal is smaller in amplitude than VT, then that is called small signal for BJT. In case of FETs, if the signal is less than overdrive voltage, twice of overdrive voltage, it will be called a small signal. So let's say for passives, everything is a small signal or everything is mostly linear. So let's say I want to do simulation from 1 kilohertz to let's say 10 gigahertz. In steps, you can have a linear stepping, or even if you want, you can do a log stepping, or you can do a single point simulation. So I'm going to put a log and I want to put 80 points per decade. So decade means 10 times. Like for example, dB meant 2 times, 3 dB was 2 times. Okay, 1 decade was 10 times. Okay, so how does it go? So basically 1 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz, 100 kilohertz, these are all 1 decade, right? 100, after that 1000 kilohertz, or what is 1 megahertz, right? Then 10 megahertz, 100 megahertz. So this is a logarithmic scale. Okay, and I'm going to put it here. A brief note that this thing doesn't come up with the display, doesn't come up because it is treating this as a linear. So you can go to display, instead of step you put here decade. So this is 80 points per decade. So I'm going from 1 kilohertz to 10 kilohertz, 10 gigahertz. So I'm ready for simulation. So this schematic is ready for simulation for two reasons. A, you have a circuit. B, you have a termination, right? And C, three things. C, so I have put two here. So don't worry, I'm gonna remove this one. Which one should I remove? This one I'll remove. I put two of them. And let's say I have to do the setting again. Okay, don't worry about that. Briefly, I'll do this. So I'm going from 1 kilohertz and I'm going log. I'm doing 80 points per decade. Okay, one schematic will allow you more than one controller. Just that the data stored will be in the form of metrics. More the simulator, more the dimensions of the metric. So it's usually advisable not to put two simulators on one schematic. Okay, but if you do, it will still work. It's just that the data set would be a matrix which will be one dimension more. So that will be difficult to parse the data. Okay, anyways, so I have a controller, simulation controller, I have a circuit, and I have the termination. So I'm ready for simulation. So this circuit I can simulate from here at the top. Just save it. Okay, so this is a start simulation. So this is how, if I click that, it will simulate that. So once it simulates, it will pop up with a data display window. So sometimes it is slow, and there are reasons why it is slow. So when you do first time in the simulation, it will be slow. Next time you run it again, it will be faster. So what is it doing at the time of simulation? We'll come to that. So this is a data display window which automatically opens. There are different plots here: rectangular plot, Smith chart, polar plot, multiple traces on a rectangular plot, a table. Then you can have antenna parameters, equation you can write for post processing. So whatever data is there, from that you can write a equation. And then there are some drawing stuff, like for example polyline and square and circle, and then you can write a text. So the thing is, you just click on one of the graphs and click here. So don't worry, and just say I'm going to look at S21, okay, in dB. So this is what looks like. It looks like it's a low pass, right? So it looks like a low pass. Now this is S21. So basically this is as good as a gain for passives. Okay. Now S21 has a special definition. It's just not a gain, right? Similarly, S11 is a reflection coefficient under a special condition, and S22 is also a reflection coefficient under a specific condition. So I can put the graphs on the right hand side so that they look clearer. So I can click on the trace, and I can change the plot axis to right Y. Similarly, I can do this for S22. I can change the axis to right Y. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. You can also change the width of the trace here. You can also make them dotted if you want. So for example, this one, I can also make it dotted like this. Right, so when you zoom in, you will see what I mean, right? So to read this, you have the right axis, and to read S21, you have the left axis, right? So this is all you can do. So for example, I have the data, and the data is stored in this data set, LPFLT. And this is the same name as the name of the design, right? Usually it is the same name. So if there are more data sets available, you can plot from that data set. So data sets is different from data display window. Data display window is just the template. It just have the graphs, but the data is actually come from data sets. So my simulation has put the data in this data set, and I'm reading from there. Okay, so that's there. Now I can do post processing. For example, if I want to know the inductor value, okay, so first I will convert S to Y. So let's say if I say Ys is equal to S to Y of S. Okay, so this is going to be converted to Y parameters. Then I can say what is that inductor. Okay, so I can say L model is equal to imaginary of 1 divided by minus Ys 1 comma 2, right, and divided by 2 pi frequency, 2 into pi. So there is a variable called pi available, and then this is frequency. This is the frequency seed we have done, and say okay. So this is L mod. So if I was to plot this, and I have to go to equations, and it is available here. And what is its value? Basically its value is 1 nanohenry, right? You can also change the unit. You go to plot options, sorry, plot type, and just 1 second, you can go to more axis. Instead of format this, you can change it to engineering. Say okay, say okay. So this is 1 nanohenry, okay, or 1000 picohenry. Now this variation you see zigzag, okay, so this is called epsilon of the device. So your processor basically is using a floating point arithmetic. So it is correct up to like 10 raised to something. It's accurate up to that. 10 raised to minus 18 or minus 20 or minus 24. That's the epsilon of the processor. Your computation are not going to be more accurate than that. So be careful. If you have a very large or very small number, if you have a very small number, your epsilon of the machine would come into picture, because inside you are using a math library. Okay, math library is written for a certain accuracy of a processor. It depends on whether it's a 64-bit processor or a 32-bit processor. So epsilon depends on that. But don't worry, it's all saying that everything is 1 nanohenry. So similarly, I can just look at the real part of this. So that will give me the series resistance. So I will say R mod, right? And it will be the real of this one. And I can get rid of 2 pi frequency thing. Okay. So this would be real of 1 over minus y12, and I can plot that one, or maybe on the same screen if I plot, that's going to work too. So if I go here to equations and say I want to look at the R mod. Okay, so R mod is going to be 1 milli and L is going to be 1 nano, correct? So did we put that? This is 1 nano and 1 milli. So basically this is referred to as modeling, right? So I'm just using Y parameters to fit a model for a pi network. Right? Similarly, there will be equations for T network. So if you know what these parameters are, you will be able to do the modeling. So at this point, I'm going to stop here for introduction to ADS. Okay, I will summarize what you have done. You have created a workspace. You have created folders. You have created the cells in the folder, or what you call designs. Designs have different views, right? Then in schematic view, you have created a schematic which had a circuit and a termination and a controller. And then you hit simulate, it generates a data, and that data is put in a data set, and then I can extract the values from the data set and plot them. I can also do post-processing writing equations, right? So this basically completes the basic operations in ADS. So I am going to